Orson Wilde is here, and I'm going to stay with Miss Alice.
What?
Did you forget? Orson Wilde, you know, the star of American theatre. And he's visiting and staying with us. You did forget?
No, not that. I meant you wanting to stay with Miss Alice.
Yes, that's right. Miss Alice suggested it. She told me you couldn't possibly refuse.
If it's really what you want.
It's the perfect solution, Mr. Holmes. Don't you agree?
Guess what, Mrs. Hudson? Mr. Wilde is here to study my father's character for his next play. And he won't be disappointed, will he? Father is so pig-headed.
I can't believe it. The great Sherlock Holmes standing in front of me. I'm sure that our two brains will.
Brains.
Mr. Wilde, your room.
Charming. This is such a fascinating city.
We need to talk.
I'd rather not. You're going to be angry again. Goodbye, Mr. Wilde.
Is it 5 o'clock already? I think I might go and ask Mrs. Hudson for some tea.
Oh, come on, Toby. Your soap bath couldn't have been as bad as that. My archive. A map of London and its surroundings. It would be better to examine Wilde's belongings before he returns. Oh, Wilde's already making himself at home. Wilde truly has a perfect disguise kit. Do actors really need all this? Honestly, the level of narcissism. Ah, our star in the role of Hamlet. It would be better to examine Wilde's belongings before he returns. This must be grease paint. This must be grease paint. I use the same brushes for makeup. Face powder of an excellent quality.
I forgot my hat. Father?
I am just checking,
You've got something on your face. Is it makeup?
It might be. Practicing my disguises, you know me. No, don't touch that! No, no!
Ah, Mrs. Hudson, with our tea.
Not quite. We have a visitor. However, the lady is not so much angry as perplexed.
Good day to you, gentlemen. My name is Mary Sutherland. I have come to you, Mr. Holmes, because I would give everything I have to know what has become of Mr. Hosmer Angel.
Why the haste, Miss Sutherland?
Mr. Hosmer Angel has disappeared, and my father, Mr. Winterbank, will do nothing. It makes me so angry.
Mr. Windy...
Indeed.
And your mother is alive? What is your...
I met him. He never did wish us to go. Fortunately, he left for France upon some business, and so didn't have any. And I met Mr. Angel that night. We met again after that and would take walks together. But then father returned, and we could no longer meet.
Why was your stepfather against your going anywhere?
Well, he didn't like it.
Do you have your own income?
I do, from an inheritance. It was left to me by my Uncle Ned in Auckland.
Then you have all that you could wish for, naturally.
Well, I live at home and don't wish...
Did Mr. Hosmer Angel make no attempt to see you?
Well, father was going off again in a week. And Hosmer wrote and said that it would be better for us not to see each other until father had gone. After that, he's...
Where does Mr. Angel live?
I don't know exactly. I addressed...
Were you engaged?
Oh, yes, Mr. Holmes. Right after the first walk that we took.
Is there anything else that you can tell me about Mr. Angel?
He is a very shy man. He would rather walk with me and... I put a missing persons notice in last Saturday's Chronicle. Here's a copy, and a letter from him.
Haha, a love letter. Yes, I see. As I anticipated, this validates my deductions perfectly.
What did...
Mr. Wilde, Holmes, tell her. A love letter? Aren't you dying to read it, Holmes?
Mr. Holmes, what do you think about the letter on the table? Do you...
This is strange. The love letter is typewritten. Good quality paper, quite smooth. Fairly common ink, nothing special. We had a wonderful time together, didn't we, while your father was in France? Miss Sutherland only met with Hosmer Angel while the stepfather was absent. Hosmer Angel decided not to leave his signature. Let's study this letter more closely. Miss Sutherland, do you have any other letters from Mr. Angel?
Unfortunately not. But I've brought my father's letter.
The stepfather's letter is also typewritten. Quite common paper with a light yellow tint. Miss Sutherland. Let's study this letter more closely. Both letters have typographical defects. They merit further attention. This letter has a defect. It's the same letter with the same defect in both instances. One more letter with a defect. One more letter with a defect. One more letter with a defect. Another letter match with the same defects. One more letter with a defect.
What else can I tell you?
I think this case is fairly obvious, don't you, Mr. Holmes?
You should try to let Mr. Hosmer Angel vanish from your memory, as he has done from your life.
Then you don't think I'll see him again?
I fear not.
Then what has happened to him?
Your stepfather married your mother for her money, and also enjoyed the use of your income. But with your personal advantages, it was clear that you would not remain single for long, even with him keeping you at home. He disguised himself and reappeared as Mr. Hosmer Angel. He brought you as far as the church door and then conveniently slipped away, to bring you to this conclusion in such a dramatic manner that it would leave a permanent impression upon your mind. You have been cruelly tricked, Miss Sutherland.
Oh, Mr. Holmes. But we were engaged.
Holmes, you could have been more diplomatic.
What is going on?
Mr. Holmes, is everything all right?
Oh, my God. Go back to your flat and stay there with Kate. It's ticking. It's ticking. It's ticking. I see wires inside. They could be connected to the cover. A fancy ticking homemade gift from a secret admirer. I have 2 minutes to defuse it. A source of electricity for the detonation. Aha! This solenoid protects the bomb from being easily diffused. If it loses its power supply, it will close contact between the secondary chain wires and the bomb will explode. There are wires attached to the bell and hammer. When the alarm triggers, the bomb will explode. There are wires attached to the bell and hammer. When the alarm triggers, the bomb will explode. A package with explosive material. There are wires go. A fancy ticking homemade gift from a secret admirer. I have 2 minutes to defuse it. Aha! If it loses its... A package with explosive material. There are wires going in. There are wires attached to the bell and hammer. A source of... A package with explosive material. There are wires.